Mute that. Turn that down to potato. This one, can I turn? Okay, this is one thing I hate. Low. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hope you are having a halfway decent day. We should be live and doing the thing and broadcasting on all channels like professionals. We tweeted everywhere. We Dirk live now. Good evening, people. What a stinking week. Oh my god, so many things. Thankfully, I don't have the rant I had last week lined up, thankfully. I don't know if I could do that twice in a row without getting really salty at people who are going to make, like, the sort of thing where you have to go explain yourself the next day at work. I managed to keep that rant reasonably generic. It still stands. I mean, I love me my sysadmins, but I fucking hate doing that work myself. All right. I'm gonna snooze that. It has been a busy week for different problems. More that 1,000 little fuck-ups are going on IRL between my car failing in the most obnoxious way possible. The the keyway is jammed, and now I have to pay out the freaking nose for the dealership to rekey it. My life is great, and that the economic data was late. Thank you so much. I was hoping to have it before Wednesday, so I'd have time to do the 07 show, but now it didn't come out till today, and, well, I mean, how fast am I supposed to turn it around? Like, really? I have the tools, and I can do the analysis, but shit, it takes me 3 hours to make an 07 segment, and, like, I gotta give you guys the show, because this is the product. What's the point of advertising if I don't do the product? So, yeah, it was... And, okay, so this is going to be the post-show thing, but I want to get everybody primed for this. The CSM wants to remove regional data from the monthly economic data, which is bullshit, in my opinion. It's they're citing that they need more privacy, and that after a year, even though we've had this data for a year, now all of a sudden we need additional privacy for some fucking reason. And I haven't really seen a lot of justification other than CSM wants it. I've seen no compelling case, in my opinion, that says why they want it. Because I can tell you right now why they want it. Is that this is a move to protect nullsec empires from prying eyes, especially after the last since Ascension, and we've seen the mass influx in industrial productivity. All of a sudden, those guys don't appreciate the fact that we can see what they're doing on a net scale, and we can see that Delve is as productive as it is, or that PL and NC and all the other big bads are as productive as they are. Like they want to hide that fact, which, in all honesty, fuck you. You know what? We get map data with 15-minute precision. Down to the system level. We get killboard data, which, again, the people who are pushing to have Squiz delay kill mails, that's bullshit. I mean, I'm glad that he's making a quick buck on it, but like this whole protect the intel move and remove all the data move is horseshit. So, like what I really want people to do is we're going to go ahead and take a note out of real life and take your 5 calls and send one of them to your favorite CSMer, because this isn't acceptable. Okay, so and I'll go into this at the end of the show, but the case in point is that they say they need the resolution reduced for OPSEC, and Fuzzy Steve has even come out and said that they want to move down to nullsec quadrants rather than regions, but like, okay, so we don't get the economic data is not automatable. It is not API'd. It's delayed by at least, it's already 30 days old to begin with. It's really the bulkiest move of anything, and you still don't know where the actual work is being done, only the productive regions. So this is, in my opinion, like, I want the resolution increased. The data I want, the data that would make me happiest, is to get down and be able to tell you how many work hours are going into each profession. I really, really, really want to know just how many man hours are going into each production, each type of production, each sec of production, each region. But I know I'll never get that data. Okay, I'm fine. That's fine. But the alternative here, and so instead, what I have is I work with what I have. That's the goal of the whole fucking show, is that I go use whatever. Like, the challenge of it is being able to use the sources and find the truth in the sources. Like, I don't even like advocating for new API endpoints, because I have basically enough data to do anything I want. The only thing that would make my life better, the only mechanic I would love to have changed, and I'll never get it, is I want to be able to reverse engineer industry indexes back to a rough estimation of hours worked. That's the only mechanic I wish I had. Otherwise, I can get every slice of data that I want to make this show amazing. And so we have a CSM who decides, oh, no. We don't want people looking in here. We don't want people being able to see outside of JITA. Like, you guys, JITA's totally the game, and don't look over here where we're producing supers out our fucking wazoo. Don't notice the fact that we've increased industrial output by a factor of almost 4 since Ascension came out. No need to look over here. And and you know what, Dirk, if you're gonna get all political with the both sides, how come you're entitled to your unlimited rounds in your frickin' in your frickin' magazine? Like, that's how stupid this sounds. Is that, like, I have a thing, and the case that's being made is we want to take it away. And I disagree that the case is being made well, that should be taken away. Not that I've owed it. It's that it's already there, And you need to make the justification that I shouldn't have it anymore. And the justification not to have it anymore is that you want to have more OPSEC, which is horseshit. Okay, it's bullshit, and I don't think it's compelling. I think it makes null. I think it's a boost for nullsec at the cost of the general public, to give them a boost, to add extra secrecy. That's what they're asking for. It's not nerfing data to make my life harder. It's boosting the obfuscation. And that's bullshit. So I disagree vehemently that the data should be redacted. I think that we already have enough fog of war between the 30 days delay in getting the data and the fact that it's only regional, because I would love to have higher resolution, but I'm never going to get it. And I don't think that the other side of the coin to say make it harder is compelling. I do not find anything compelling about the give the players less data so that nullsec can enjoy a little more secrecy. I don't think it's compelling. I think it's right up there with the fixing nullsec proposal a couple years back. It's right up there with farms and fields. They're looking to make it great for themselves and fuck everyone else. And that is not good game design. So, my call to action this week, and we're going to hear this a lot, is to go call up your CSM, go tweet at ccpquant, and go make sure your voice is heard that we should still have that data. Because if we don't have that data, and I think the game is actively worse. I think that, and it's nerfing a piece of the game data when we need it most from a reporting standpoint. It actively makes this show worse losing that data. Because we're watching, for instance, and this is the part that I'm going to go into a lot more depth at the end of the show. We're watching as since Ascension, actually since Citadel and a little bit before, we've been seeing more and more industrial activity in nullsec. That we're finally seeing the dream of more industry in nullsec. And I'm okay with that. I actually enjoy that. And pair that with the fact that we're actually seeing less and less, that means that actually less and less of the products are coming through JITA. And this is finally getting people, after 15 years of complaining about it, that we're seeing a more decentralized market. So, to be able to serve that, decentralized market, to be able to come in front of you guys and be able to give you the information you need to know if it's safe to invest in Tritanium or where Moongoo is going. I need that data. I need the monthly economic data. I would love it at a higher resolution, but I'm never going to get it, and that's fine. But I will fight tooth and fucking nail if you think you can take it away. Because I think it just boosts the secrecy of nullsec entities. It gives them a free lunch, and it screws every other independent operator out of resolution. So I don't think it's okay. And the fact that it's kind of a surprise to the rest of the player base, I think is also making that known. The Reddit thread was going nuts. So that's a thing. Okay, so quick point from YouTube. The YouTube chat is that Wormhole space does not have API resolution either into the monthly economic data or the map endpoints or the market endpoints except for Thera. And that's by design. And I'm actually fine with that because they were actually removed at a point. And you know what? Let wormholes be secret. They don't have local, whatever. But we're talking about the second largest... the second largest... looking at the data, right? For total production value, number 2 is Delve. Number 1 is Jita. And you're going to tell me that I need to lose resolution so that it's somewhere between, it could be Delve or Quirius or Cloud Ring or Fountain. Ooh, OPSEC. Like, it's actually important to be able to see the difference. In the mining numbers, especially, there's no way to reverse engineer this because a lot of the data, the units are not going to hit the market in a way that we can measure them at all. Seeing total mining output at the regional level is extremely powerful because we're seeing that Delve and Cobalt Edge are leading the charge in actual yields. And otherwise, I have to say the South, and I hate it. I hate it. It's stupid, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail, and I'm going to be a real pain in the ass to everyone to make sure that we don't lose the data on the economic numbers. So I don't want more security. I don't want more secrecy. I don't think they deserve it. I think the game is made actively worse by doing that. Oops. And I'm telling people, like, you go. Fuzzy Steve was not convinced that we should keep the data. I disagree. But bugging CCP Quant and bugging CCP Guard are the places I'm going to go to. This show will be made actively worse by not including that data. So, if you like this show, if you enjoy what we do here, if you enjoy the sort of level of detail that we do to try and forecast the market out, I can't do it without the resolution. I just can't fucking do it. And I'm not willing to give up the data set. I think their justification is bullshit. And Dirk, the data is not available on the API. I would love an ESI endpoint that just had the monthly data on it. Oh my god, that would make my life so much easier. Because we're at the whim of whenever CCP Quant runs his R script. I would love more automation, but it's fine the way it is. Like, I get that it's not high enough value to put Snowden on it. But I want it. And like, there's a lot of data in here that is extremely powerful that we probably shouldn't have. Like, if you wanted to make a case for data the players shouldn't have, let's talk about cash supply. Because that number allows me to tell you with really great certainty that where the price of Plex is going. And we wouldn't be able to do that with as much certainty without the fountains and the fountain sync report, the money supply report, and the ISK velocity report. So you want to talk about like game breaking? Those are game breaking. Those are high meta value reports. And yes, the production data is medium tier value, but my number one concern is that there is no other way to get it. Like, You take away the cash supply report. I'd still like to see sinks and fountains, but I could live without it. And we can talk using Plex as our whatever. You take away the kill reports. I don't use CCP's kill reports. I use Z Killboard to get the stats we do. So I can go through a second source. I don't need traffic data, for instance, because I could go get that from the map API. Like, I'm more than happy to go do the labor if that's what needs to be done. That's actually a challenge, and that's kind of fun for me. My pain is that, as a producer at my heart of hearts, is that I want the production numbers, and that means mining, and that means industry, and there's no way to get that data. There's no way to get that data except through CCP's reports. And I very, very much enjoy the fine grain industry stats, and I think they have a lot of value. And they make and break some of our predictions here on the show month to month. And without that data, without that higher resolution, I'm sunk. I need to go get frickin' alts in all of the major whatevers, and I need to go suck a bunch of dick in the coalitions to get the data from the horse's mouth, rather than reverse engineering it. And frankly, the reverse engineering it is half of the fun. So that's where I am. I vehemently disagree with the CSM on removing the monthly economic data that they're proposing. I think they're just protecting their shit, and they're looking for a free game boost for their own shit at the expense of the rest of us. So all right, so with that, we got about 5. The region matters because it lets us resolve who's doing it, not just where it's being done. Otherwise, if we break it up in quadrants, it's easy to sit across. It would be easy to split your operation between 2 quadrants to make it look smaller. Much less so that with the mining and the industry the way it is now, you do it all in one place. So I need the here have the All right, so before we get started, just a quick rundown for anybody who might be new to the show, as I double check the numbers. This is the Eve Prosper Market Show. We're going to go live in just a few minutes, but a quick FAQ for anybody who is new. The show runs about 45 minutes. I don't tend to answer questions during the show, but we will have a 30-minute Q&A afterwards where I'll probably just rant some more about how I want my data, and you can keep your dirty frickin' hands off my fucking data. And that's... So that's the way it ends up going. We're live here every Thursday night U.S. time. That's Friday night game time. Be sure to share with all of your friends. And we're streaming on both Twitch and YouTube. There's a higher resolution stream on YouTube because YouTube is better. But I do watch both the chats and the Discord. We do have a Discord. Links are down in the description below on how to get that. And I'm not taking your bait on that, Dirk. We'll play the healthcare debate on your show, not mine. The last piece is all of the graphs are made. Well, nearly all of the graphs are made in-house. we use are to get them done. Links on how to do that are should be down in our on our GitHub. If you have any questions about specific graphs, we can get them made for you. I can't share the data right now because, again, writing APIs is hard. Let's see. That should be everything we need for the pre-show. So give me just a minute to press the buttons. Be sure to tell all of your favorite corpies to come join the thing. So give me 2 seconds to press the right buttons. Oh, make sure I've got double check my stuff. Okay. Good evening, and welcome to the latest episode of the Eve Prosper Market Show. I'm your host, Lockefox, and I'm here with all of this week's market news and the data from the latest economic report fresh off the presses. So, without further ado, let's start where we usually do, with some quick show news. I want to thank everybody who is tuned in live. We have a great audience today. It looks like almost 50 people between YouTube and Twitch. If you want to tune in live, we are live every Thursday night U.S. time. That's Friday night game time at 0400. We are live on Twitch and YouTube, and you can come join us. If you can't join us live, the show should be on YouTube ASAP as soon as we're done. And I got to thank Christopher for continuing to do some amazing edits. So we've brought back the edited show thanks to him. So throw some praise his way if you can. If you want to follow the show, all you got to remember is Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. Our subscriber numbers are getting real close to 1,000 on Twitter, so I'd love to see that finally go over. Also, if you enjoy the show, if you want to support us directly, the very best way to do so is through our Patreon at patreon.com/EveProsper. Even $1 goes an extremely long way. It keeps us in hardware, it keeps this show ad-free, and it keeps us on the air every week. Our patrons really make this show possible, and if you can support us, it goes a very long way. We don't gate any content. It's just purely out of the goodness of your own heart. So I, again, have to thank all of our patrons every single time. If you can't support us directly, that is perfectly fine. Absolutely understandable. Please share us among all of your friends. I do like seeing the subscriber numbers tick up and to the right like any good economic guy would like to see. And then last note, before we move on, one piece of news that I think our audience will be very interested to hear about is that in the latest economic report, Quant mentioned that the CSM wants to remove the regional data from the regional resolution from the economic numbers. And I, for one, vehemently oppose that particular decision. It would actively hurt this show, and I think it loses resolution for the general public in favor of granting the big power blocks a sideways boost. So if you are not pleased about losing that data, if you would like to continue getting that data, which we've had for over a year, I would like to add, be sure to reach out to CCP Guard and CCP Quant on Twitter. Go see the Reddit thread. There is one that has blown up rather spectacularly, and let your voice be heard. And do bug your CSM. I have been bugging Fuzzy Steve all day about it, and it is a good chance to make sure your voice is heard, because this is unacceptable in my opinion. We're going to talk more about that in the post show. If you're catching this on the edited YouTube, be sure to go check out the live show. I'll try to put links to it so you guys can go check that out. With that, if you guys give me 2 seconds to press the right buttons, because buttons, let's move straight into the show. So we're going to start where we always do with Plex, which is trending steady at 1.04. So we're going to have a lot more to say about Plex in the indexes part of the show. We're still seeing weakness in Plex, given the other, a lot of the other indicators would let you say that Plex should be going up, and it should be going up strongly. We're going to talk about why we're not seeing that yet, but just as sort of a zoom in on that, part of it is the ISK velocity is staying relatively stable and actually pretty high, considering where 80% of the ISK that is has been generated is getting spent, which is great news. It means there's a lot of demand on keeping the prices down, essentially, that's part of the forces tamping down growth. But this isn't the whole picture, but I didn't have time to put it all together in a one slide. We're going to get to it, I promise. I expect Plex to be higher than it is, but it's not there, and it's an interesting story, but we're going to come back to it. That's the spoiler here. Zooming in on the short term, again, we should see prices trending up now that we're under 1K units out there in the wild. But the upward pressure is extremely weak. Usually we see multiple percentage points, like 2 or 3 percentage points positive. And the fact that the resolution is squeezed down this far so that we can't seem to get to that 1.1 billion is rather telling, in my opinion. Zooming out on the rest of the RMT items, we see that skill extractors are continuing to demand a premium. They are a better way to cash in. So if you are looking to turn dollars into ISK, skill extractors are a much better choice. Okay, much is probably overstating. It's like 2 or 3% extra ISK if you're buying in $100 blocks. But why not optimize if you can optimize? It's interesting to see we were lockstep for a very long time, and now we're in pretty positive territory. I've been hearing anecdotal reports of a lot more vets coming to skill trading as a way to consolidate characters and perhaps liquidate old characters and move them into more focused new characters. So it's at least interesting there. We're not seeing those items hit the market, but it is driving skill extractor demand in that case. Looking at the skill trading market, the margins continue to be very strong. Not a whole lot to say here. I was expecting things to sort of narrow, but again, without Plex rising, it's really hard to drive the rest of this equation together. So it's still a great opportunity to be a skill trader at the moment. And right now, actually, with the slump in supply, this would actually sort of point towards a slightly higher price, maybe hitting the 650 mark over the weekend. But I don't think that we're going to see growth in this because I think they're reasonably locked to Plex prices going into the future. With that, let's get to the real meat of the show. With the economic numbers out this month, we should go look at the market indexes. First, we're going to start with the net trade numbers, which are a little interesting. The ship demand has been tracking down, and the mineral net trade has been staying even, which kind of goes counter to a lot of the statistics we'd be expecting. We know that mining and production are extremely productive at the moment. And yet, prices are either falling fast enough to meet new demand, which is a good chunk of that, or a lot of that demand, a lot of that supply is not coming to Jita. And I think that's the biggest piece of this picture. And that's what I think is so dangerous about losing that production and mining resolution, is that we can't count on Jita to be our single source of truth going forward. After 10 years of belly aching about it, we finally are in a case where nullsec is providing for nullsec and highsec is providing for highsec, and there's still some cross-pollination, but way less than we've seen in the past. And this requires us to think more globally in our assumptions, and not just take a bad month's data at face value. And so this is, again, part of my push. Don't take away my data. Looking at the total destruction numbers, I wish I could tell you more, but we had a bit of a bug this week that knocked out a couple days worth of data. And we can go reconstitute it, but it's going to take some work to get it back. And it's probably going to be 2 weeks before I can patch over that blob. So this isn't real. Don't do that. But let it never be said that I won't show you guys the bugs. Next, moving on to the money supply graphs. January was extremely interesting in the economic report. Like, Ascension was a really good one, but this one is exceptional. So let me see if we might have to go in a weird order. So, one, let's start with the sinks and faucets. If you guys have been watching for the last few months, you know that I really don't like the way the bounty prices are going lately. I think that pushes too much liquid cash into the market, and it can lead to an instability that would be extremely hard to correct for if market activity slumps, given a particularly active spring break, another game releasing, the summer doldrums. Like, with cash supplies being this strong, it leads to it puts more heat in the system. More heat in the system means that it's easier to run off the rails without a chance to fix it. So I think there's too much bounty money in the system, but you go look at the active ISK delta this month, and so active ISK delta is the measure of cash leaving the system that is between inactive accounts, which I need to go look up the numbers post Ascension, because inactive accounts isn't really a thing anymore post Alpha. And it's also banned money, money that has been removed from the system because of illicit activity. And though the faucets are higher than they've ever been, at 100 trillion ISK printed into the game last month, and the sinks are pretty strong at about 75 trillion ISK, which is a balance we usually see. I actually like to see it a little bit lower. Like, I'd like to see it under that 75 mark. But this active ISK delta, like the October numbers right here, that was I Want ISK getting banned, right? That was, what, 27 trillion ISK removed overnight because of the casino bans. This is almost double that. This is like, okay, it's not double. It's like 80% more. At something like 60 trillion ISK removed from the game. And so that, if we go back, we see that despite the fact that the fountains have never been stronger, cash supplies have been tracking down. And this is telling towards a Plex crunch. Usually we like to see this number going up and to the right relatively linearly. And we saw, okay, over the summer, things got a little, were quiet. Once the fall kicked in, we saw us return to that exponential curve. We're breaking that curve again. And we're breaking it not with these big discontinuities from bands. We're seeing it leach out of the system, essentially. So either ActiveISC Delta is at much higher resolution than we've seen previously, or the mining changes have finally come home to roost in a way that is sucking down some of this ISK, but I don't think the sinks are high enough to really account for that. But like this is extremely odd given the way everything is going. Like everything else is pointing positive, and cache supply and Plex are down. That's strange. That's extremely strange. And if I were a betting man, actually, and I'd have to go double check in game, and I'd have to go see what the stop orders look like. This could spell a slide in Plex. Now, below 1 billion, probably not. I think there's enough supply and demand to keep it above 1 billion. But like, this is a really strange way to start the next month. And unless there's some great expansion news ahead of FanFest, which we should start seeing that sort of announcements coming down the pipe, we'll see. So this is strange. This has me flabbergasted. Next, moving into our production stats. Again, we can see that we're almost, okay, maybe not twice as productive as before, almost twice as productive. We saw a big bump with Citadels. That's to be expected. But ever since Ascension launching, we've seen production just take off like a rocket. And I think a very large chunk of this is going into supers. And this is, again, why the regional data matters, is that we need to be able to have the resolution to figure out who is building all of these supers. Like, I felt stupid back in October saying that we could be down to a 10 billion ISK super, a 15 billion ISK super, and a 80 billion ISK Titan, and could fall to even lower than that in the next, if this kept up for a year. And nullsec seems to be ready to produce every single frickin' rock into a super going forward, and making the capital engagement chain that much higher. And I don't hate this idea. I actually enjoy the fact that more supers would be dying. It becomes a much more banal circumstance to be engaging them and destroying them. I like seeing big things get exploded, and I think it's good for the economy. But that shouldn't be secret. You should be able to figure this out. And I think it's very hard to do that. To figure out where all of this product is coming from and where it is going. If we zoom in on the mining value, we see that Delve and Cobalt Edge are leading the pack, front of the class for mining value. Both 1 and 1. Even ahead of the Forge, which can do all of its mining in HiSec, Domain, and Lone Trek. These are extraordinarily productive, and there's a good chance that data is actually underreported thanks to the Rorqual bug that I still haven't heard has been resolved yet. If you are following the economic reports, you should know that, as it said in the previous thing, mining drones are not being counted because of a bug. I still haven't heard that report has been fixed. So this is extremely strange. Like, and I'm wondering, actually, I didn't get a chance to look. Wonder if, who is it? Who's the NRDS? Oh, geez. Freaking brain. Holy crap. Providence. Providence is still extremely productive. These numbers are useful, and it's useful to tell you who is doing it and where it's going. So for instance, mining in Providence, you could expect that a good chunk of that is coming out. It's going out to other pieces of the market. Yeah, a good chunk of it is probably going to capitals, but I'd say almost 50% of it is still hitting the market. Whereas in Delve, I'm pretty sure 90% of what's getting mined is going straight into production. And we zoom in, we can see why we think that is that if the Forge is at 34 trillion ISK in production value, Delve is at 20.5 trillion in production value. Now, the interesting piece here is that where Cobalt Edge was extremely productive mining-wise, they don't seem to be as productive production-wise, which is strange. I'd actually expect them to be using it all themselves. And I don't know if that's going into stockpiles, if that's actually coming out and coming to market. When we go zoom in on the industry pieces, I think we'll get a better look of that. But like Providence is only making 5.5 trillion in production, even though, again, that should be relatively productive as a more Careberry space, a more open space than a more controlled space of Delve. So I think these numbers are extremely valuable and important, and I don't think you should give them up just because a bunch of guys in nullsec think that you shouldn't have them. Next, moving on to minerals. We see that titanium is taking a tumble. I thought we were going to hold at 4.4, but we've fallen almost to 4.0. We're in extremely weak territory, and this is a case where I usually would bet on the RSI as a way to say it's fallen too far too fast. Like this dip down under 4.4 is something I would have bought in at, but I would have held and lost money given the way the patterns went. And we're in extremely weak territory going on here. And it's sort of in this really dangerous, could keep falling, we don't know where we're going, we're off the rails kind of spot if you're a technical analysis kind of guy. We see that once again we see a big supply rush, and we've been seeing a big supply rush for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And this bump up to 30 billion, I don't think that can be sustained personally. I think that 25 billion units on the market is an expected value. But that means that you're still gonna bottom out at a 4.0. If you're looking to stockpile in the long term, if you have high sec work to do, trying to get a stop order under 4.0, something in a 395, might not be a bad idea. Get a decent, go grab some cheap trit while it's ready. But I would not invest in trit as a long-term investment. This is purely for my industrial bros. If you are going to use just truckloads of trit, get some stop buy orders in there, just so you can maybe save a few bucks on the production week to week. Next, moving on to pyrite, we continue to see weakness, but we're holding steady at 6.0. Less of a dire circumstance here, looking at the RSI on the bottom. Still extremely weak territory, but given the way the rest of minerals are going, I don't know how much credence I really give the technical analysis this week. We did see a big supply spike a few weeks ago, and it looks like we're rearing up for another one. So again, this would be a decent chance to put in some opportunistic buy orders, something in a 5.5, maybe a little under a 5.5, just trying to make some money between the 5.5 and the 6.0. It's risky. It's not a ton of money to be made, but I think that you could be in and out in a weekend and count your money. So I think this is a decent place to play a little bit of volatility as we dip down through the weekend and maybe rise up through the week as this bump smooths out. Mexilon has been our darling for the last few weeks, showing a little bit of weakness, under 75 at the moment, but staying strong. It's the one bright spot in the mineral picture at the moment. And you know what? If we're talking about hyperproduction, without the war drums beating, it's not a bad time to be stocking up. Again, I would be aiming for some opportunistic buy orders, something in a 65 to 68 sort of band. I think you're still going to be stuck holding this into May if you're looking for a longer hold, because I think what we're going to end up seeing is that all of that industrial might has to come to bear on something, and we might just be SOL until FanFest actually gives us something to fight over. But stocking up on Mexilon and looking for some opportunistic buy orders to get in at 65, 68, maybe down at 60 if we slump a little bit in the next couple weeks. I think that the supply chain is on your side. We're still, even if it gets hot, it doesn't stay hot. We're still don't have a ton of this product handy. And I think it's a good volatility speculation vehicle in the medium term. Isogen continues to fall like a stone, and as I've said, just abandon all hope on Isogen. We're almost down to 50, it looks like, with no signs of stopping. It's interesting that we keep sliding despite the fact that supply chains aren't that much stronger week to week. We've seen some bumps up to the 800 million units mark, but I just don't think that there's just too much Isogen and not enough places to put it. I wish I could tell you where the floor of this was, because again, same advice from Mexilon is that I think it will track up once somebody starts kicking over somebody else's toys, but I can't tell you where the floor is, so I can't tell you where to buy in, and it's extremely risky. Like we're looking at, I think that we could get all the way down to 40 if we're not careful in the upcoming weeks. It's really hard to chart this because there's just no hope here in the supply chain. So I would steer clear of Isogen. Noxium took a hit a couple of weeks ago, and we're down at 320, and we're looking to stay steady, which is good news. I expect this to be a little oversupplied from nullsec. Again, keeping an eye on the outputs of Providence and Cobalt Edge. The supply chains are rising, but they're not outrageous yet. Trends say that we're going to be down to 300, and I don't know when it's going to turn around. I think that we're just going to get down and stay down. I don't have a lot of hope that Noxium is coming back up without a mining rebalance or a recipe rebalance. Moving on, Zydrine, my favorite mineral to pick on, took a big nosedive yesterday down to 1050. And supply lines keep rising. Again, for those who might be new to the show, this is the kind of mineral you pay your miners with. It's where a lot of the ISK per hour comes from. And so you'll expect that a lot of this will be in oversupply, not so much from nullsec, because if you're a super producer, you basically control the mix of what you'll buy, effectively controlling just how much of everything that comes off the mining yield, but more so from casual renters and from Wormhole. I expect these to continue to grow. My volume target is something in a 200 million, and my buy target is sub 1K, and I wouldn't buy it so it's only buy if you need it. If you're going to use it, I would stock up at sub 1K, but I think that the sell order prices are going to come down to 1K in the next 2 weeks, if nothing else changes, unless somebody decides to swoop in and start manipulating the market. But there's a lot. It would be an expensive bet to be messing with, and it'd be a losing bet if you're not very careful. Megasite, I was expecting to have the same behavior as Zydrine, and we're not seeing it. staying steady over 1,500. It's a little interesting to see. It looks like we may have been in a slightly artificial slump where extra material was being bought out, leading to a price rise. But supplies are way back up at the 50 million mark. I think that the supplies need to rise a little bit higher to something in a 75, 60 million mark to really see strong downward pressure on this. But again, I'd be looking at my wormhole guys and my renter guys to be overmining this stuff and slowly running it into the dirt. I don't know when that's exactly going to show up, just that I think that things are going to be weak. This isn't a spot where an intrepid marketeer could bump the price up a few ticks. Go play this by margin and slice out 20 million units and bump the price up. It's in a spot where you probably could do that, but it'd be super dangerous, and just please don't. You're going to end up holding a lot more than you'd like, and you're not going to make as much money as you'd hope. Actually, the place to do that would have been back here. So yeah. And then last, our last darling, Morphite, is staying steady at 10K. If we zoom in, same advice stays. We expect supplies to stay relatively steady. Macroxit is a relatively capped mineral, so that supply chain is relatively static even with the numeral qual change. It's just that nobody's really going into Tech 2 because there's nothing to fight about. So sub 10K I think is a decent buy. I don't know when to sell. I just know that you'll be able to make a few bucks if you're buying some of these stop orders in the 9.5s and the 9.2s. You may have to hold it for 3 months, but I think you'll make your money back. Moving on to fuel. We have another bug. I've got a problem. I got to figure out what the fuck's going on here. There's a problem. Actually, this looks like last week's plot, but it's probably not. Yeah, anyway, there's a bug. I got to fix it. Prices are staying relatively steady. I think it's interesting that nitrogen continues to stay high. And again, it's that last hour's worth of resolution just goes off the edge there. And similarly, we have another bug here with the blocks and prices. I find it interesting that the build margin has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, making it so that building blocks right now is a real losing opportunity. I'm not sure if we're oversupplied in blocks or if I'm not sure exactly what the consumption picture looks like post ascension, but it sure looks like we're oversupplied in blocks to the point where a lot of producers are eating their margin and not really making any money. So I don't know if this is a buy opportunity, because I still think that a lot of the ice products are overvalued. So it's a risky buy. You're basically hoping that people finally realize they're not making any money, and that's, well, this is the game where mined minerals are free, right? So I don't have a ton of faith in that happening. But if you're a block producer, I would stop the lines right now, and I'd stop, because you're just not making any money. Last in our fuel picture, we look at strontium. Supplies continue to stack up, saying that we're in peacetime. Nobody's really going to go fight. And heavy water is interesting that we're so short at the moment. Looks like a lot of smaller gang operations might be going on to drive these out of the market, since those go into the space bards, boosting charges. Actually, prices are extremely high and supplies are extremely low. This is a very strange market, and I really should have been able to guess it, but I didn't expect this double dip. I don't like banking on double dips when it comes to these. We see a dip. I expect it to recover and stay steady. I wouldn't expect a triple dip. If we see a lot of twos, we see very rarely threes. In my opinion, like we see, two peaks here and then a fall. We see, two valleys here. Oh, they're going into Rourke walls. Thank you, Resident Bully. Billy. Sorry, Resident Billy is correcting me that these are going into Rourke walls. Panic buttons. Not panic buttons. They're boosts. They're going to the boosts. Which is interesting. It's going to hurt some of the margins, but I don't think the people mining it care. Moving on to our outlier analysis, we're going to start where we usually do in advanced materials. Things are staying relatively steady. We're seeing a couple of peaks again in the middle. Recovering nanotransistors is coming back down to the 2400 mark. I think that action is over. I'd be watching for an overcorrection. So if you're in a buy order mood, maybe play this over the weekend. Hypersynaptic fibers again is staying steady. Nothing to see here. Phenolic composites are way up, but I expect that to pop over the weekend. I actually expect a little bit of action in the fermionic condensates and ferrogel markets coming onto the weekend. Unfortunately, we're a little bit late here for this show to jump on this particular bandwagon. And I don't think that it's going to be sustained, but if you have some, if you're going to go look to get rid of it, if you wanted to go buy up some quick buy orders, for instance, might not be a bad place, especially fermionic condensates has a big buy delta at the moment. The reason is that dysprosium is peaking. Oops, sorry. And we're seeing the supplies dip a little bit. We see this pattern relatively regularly. Just looking back a month ago, we saw a similar dip, and I should expect oversupply to be coming back. So I expect this bulge to evaporate in the next 2 weeks. Because again, everybody is productive. Everyone is doing their part industrially, but there's not enough Tech 2 to really slurp up, to really add the extra volatility on the buy side of the equation. The supply side of the equation is rippling, but it has nowhere to ripple into. So we're not going to see a harmonic dissonance going on. Looking at PI4s, things are looking a little bleak in broadcast nodes and recursive computing modules. Looks like a lot of the expected extra, I don't think that the Citadels and ECs are dying at the rate people were expecting. And it looks like producers are still ready to generate a lot of these things. Now, it might be a decent chance to stock up if we're expecting the same pattern we've seen in the last year to keep on. It would behoove you to perhaps watch this market to sell in May and June, seeing as we should expect the next round of structures to come out. And if I'm not mistaken, and feel free to correct me, this is me wildly speculating, the next round of structures should be mining ones. And though I don't expect the impact to be as big as the last two, seeing as I expect mining equipment to be cheap, I do expect it to be destroyed relatively quickly, which would mean a lot more baseload demand. What does that mean as a speculator? I would still hold off buying in. I would maybe put some really enthusiastic buy orders in to try and sneak in something really cheap, like some really low stop orders you can just set and forget. Something that's like 15% under or 10% under the current buy order price. And wait for dev blogs to come up, and that's the way I would play this gamble. Is that I think that we'll oversupply until we know what they're going into, and then everyone will jump on the dev blog because they've seen the pattern twice, so it's not a surprise anymore. But you will have collected a bunch of super cheap buy orders over the course of like 3 months, and you'll get to laugh all the way to the bank while everyone's trying to make money after the fact. That's the play I would make here. It's risky, but I don't think you'll lose much money. It just means you're going to have to put a decent amount up in escrow to be holding in reserve for these opportunistic buy orders to happen. Next, elite drone AIs, which are a critical component in the new mining drones, is tracking back up again. We're seeing supplies get tight. There's been a lot of consternation about learning to fly your Rorqual correctly and using your panic button correctly so that you don't lose your Rorqual like a scrub. And it looks like a bunch of people might be adding miners into their mining into their ISK making apparatus and driving the prices up, driving demand up in the short term. I don't think this will stick for very long. Like, I think this might be a trend for February. We'll get up to maybe 10 million on these things and then start tracking back down again. Because I think once we reach a saturation point, the replacement rate for the mining drones is going to be so low that this is going to go back into oversupply. But I mean, there's a quick buck to be made now, and if you got on an 8 million buy order to sell at 10 million, you'd be making a decent buck. So it's a gamble. I don't think it's a great one. I think it's a little bit too late to jump on this party, but I'd be watching the elite drones over the next month. Next, bad news for your Tech 3 producers. Methanofullerene is in the dumps, and the reason is that nobody's really flying T3s at the moment. We're seeing a lot of T1 action. We're seeing a lot of pirate faction in the meta. We're just not seeing a lot of T3. And I think that there's just a swath of oversupply at the moment, and it'd behoove you to maybe stop producing it for a couple of weeks as the market recovers. I think we'll be back to it reasonably quickly. For the doomsaying I might be saying, I don't think that I still think that the margins on T3 are healthy enough. I think this is just a symptom of somebody dumping way too much and not knowing what they're doing. And then last segment of the show, we're going to start with a whoops from last week. Seems that I have a bug in my system that I totally missed. Leopards spiked big time. These are if you don't know what a leopard is, it's a special edition shuttle that warps super fast. They tend to be about 100 million-esque. They've been around forever, for 4 or 5 years now, and they tend to ebb and flow like a lot of the special edition assets like that. But DeLone Wolf featured it on one of his shows last week or the week before, and what should happen is that when this sort of thing happens, I have tools that are very good at picking this out. This should have just been a slam dunk. We would have talked about it on last week's show. Like, this is what the tools do, is they look for exactly this kind of pattern. This is easy. But I have a bug, and I haven't been collecting leopard data since October. So that's on me. I am bad. GG DeLone Wolf. Help me find a bug. Haven't had a chance to fix it yet. Been super busy. IRL job is hard. I've just been so damn busy. So I know how to fix it. I just need to go friggin' do it. Next, the one we picked up a couple of weeks ago was the hyena. And so I wanted to go ahead and reiterate the pattern I expected to see, because turns out I'm right. What we see is that we get a spike. So this is I like this pattern in in some of the low volume Tech 2 producibles, I guess is the way to put it. And so you'll see this in Marauders, you'll see this in Black Ops, you'll see it in Hictors, you'll see it in the electronic attack frigates, all of these sort of like niche, useful, but not very popular kind of ships. This is where you'll see this pattern. It doesn't happen on the bigger ships because there's enough heat in the market, there's enough activity that the ebbs and flows move more organically. But what happens here is that the margin sucks, the margin sucks, the margin sucks, the margin sucks. This is your baseline. If you're watching all of the Tech 2 market, you're like, hyenas suck. Then somebody buys out a whole bunch of these, and the supply crashes in the market, and the price spikes. And then a whole bunch of producers go to their spreadsheet and go, wow, look at hyenas. I could be making 25, 30% on hyenas. Let me go just churn out a whole bunch of those. I'll go to market. It'll be great. And then the price spikes back down again from all of these producers coming to market. What then happens is that it tends to overcorrect because a lot of these guys are like, shit, that was stupid. I'm not making any money on this. Why did I do that? That was so stupid. I am so stupid. And what we end up seeing is that, so what usually happens is this overcorrects earlier. I expect this crossover point to be a lot earlier than it happened. And we see a bunch of people go, God, just make it go away, and they crash their own prices, they crash their own margins just to get out of it. Just get these things off my frickin' thing. They are killing me right now. And then this means that as a trader, you have an opportunity because these are under margin, and now you have a chance to buy in and ride it into the 21 million reset at 18 million, 15 million on a buy order. This is easy margin for you. Now, as a producer, I think you're just shit out of luck. Like this is why for producers, I tell you to tread very carefully in low volume markets, because this is exactly what happens, is that you come with more supply than you really should have, and it takes forever to get your cash back out, and you're screwed as a producer. So that's the warning. For the traders, this is an opportunity to watch for this behavior right here in your low volume Tech 2 and wait for the overcorrection underneath this baseline, 21 million. Because this will rebound relatively quickly, and you can just get out at the normal price. I wouldn't advocate holding a long-term period looking for another one of these, because these are really random. This is an extremely unsteady sort of collapse going on. And if you can make money on it, like, absolutely, like, triple your margin, why not? Sign me up. But I can't ever tell you when one of these is going to show up. So you could just be sitting on your lottery ticket for 4 months waiting for this to come out, and it only lasts a weekend, and you're up camping somewhere, and you completely missed this party, and you've been sitting on your money for too long, and you can't make anything back. So I would be buying in now and selling later. Now, again, since there's 50 people here in the show, and there's probably 100 more who will watch the recording, don't everybody buy in on this right now. You're just going to screw it up. I'm trying to show you a pattern. I'm not trying to tell you to buy hyenas now. Please don't, because you're going to get burned. What I'm trying to tell you is watch the Hictor market, the Black Ops market, the Marauder market, the EAF market, and look for this pattern. Because this pattern, I think you can take to the bank, and you can make, you can turn around 4 or 5 units and be sitting pretty on your free margin. Last but not least, let's go into the violence report. We're a little behind schedule because I've just taken way too long to rant. Do please note that some of our Z Killboard numbers are screwed up for the week. So the magnitudes might be wrong, but I at least believe in the rankings. Good to see the Macarial back in the mix, but still extremely weak. Astero is still strong. Gila, Ishtar, and Proteus still very popular. Solar systems, again, this is probably screwed up. Auga, still popular. 9-4 and 7RM are taking the backseat of our top 5. Hematar, this I don't believe. Like, Hematar has never been in the top 5. So this, I think, is just the bug. Like I said, from the first on, we got a problem. So I believe the ship numbers. I don't believe anything else. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the show here. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live. It was a great turnout this week. Looks like we got a little over 60. Geez, good, really popular show this week. If you want to follow the show, all you got to remember is Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. Do tune in every week at 0400 Friday night. That's Thursday night U.S. time. We're here every week. And if you want to support the show, the very best way to do so is through our Patreon at patreon.com/EveProsper. That keeps it ad-free. It keeps us on the air. It keeps us in equipment and licenses and all of the stuff that makes this show run is thanks to our patrons. We don't gate any content, but even $1 goes an extremely long way, and I can never say thank you enough. If you can't contribute monetarily, that is perfectly fine. I completely understand. Do share this with all of your friends. I do like seeing subscriber numbers go up and to the right like a good market maker. And do reach out among your CCP contacts and your CSM friends, and protest the changes to the economic report. I very much don't like them, and we're going to talk about that in the post show. If you're watching this on YouTube and you are missing this is the end of the show and you're watching the edit, there should be a link down in the doobly-doo to come see the full post show with links to when it starts and when the rant really begins. With that, I'm going to end the show here. I've been your host, Lockefox. This has been the Eve Prosper Show. We will be back next week with all of the market news you need to make money. So fly safe, and I will see you all next week. Oh, my God. Right. Gotta give me 2 seconds. Make sure, we're expecting company, and I don't know when they're showing up. Still on time. All right. Oh, and I forgot to pimp the Discord. Stupid me. Join the Discord. Links are down in the thing below. Did I miss any? Didn't miss anything. Thank you, Dirk. You are a super fan. So let me make sure I'm clicking things, do the numbers. Methanophorine dumps. Oh, seems that ProBag was dumping the methanophorine. I am sorry, people in Slack. I don't have enough screen real estate to see all of the chats, and I wasn't paying attention. I am sorry. So it looks like ProBag Bear just being a market troll. Which I always love seeing, but it's expensive being a market troll. All right. Did I miss any tweets or nothing? No. It's finally warm in here thanks to this stupid computer, and now it's too warm. It's been cold all week. Again, feel free to ask questions down in the thing below, because you basically got 2 minutes before I start back into my rant and start fighting Dirk because he's being an instigator, and this is the way we work. Love you, Dirk. Oh, and if you love this show, if you're new to this whole thing, if you're a whole noob, be sure to follow Mr. Strats on Twitch. He's running relatively regular shows, doing more technical analysis, sort of gut trading. And then you need to go check out DeLone Wolf, who does a lot of what I do, but from a different perspective. So I come from a statistics, engineering, data science background, and my goal is to process the market with data. He approaches it from a more technical analysis, pattern recognition sort of bend, which maybe your thing. I think he runs it on Sundays, if I'm not mistaken. So we're two sides of the same coin. I really enjoy his work, but I'm here for you technical nerds who want graph porn, and he's there for people who want higher production values, because he runs a tight ship. And again, get subscribed, because again we're live. If you subscribe to the YouTube, we do once or twice a month. I try to do office hours where I just get on here and I do my dev fleet work. I do code work in the background, and answer questions from people and go into depth of why I think a thing works, or try to explain the mechanics so you guys can really understand what's going on. Like get more than just reading a wiki kind of thing. So do get subscribed. I don't know when those are going to happen, because it's basically I woke up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday and my wife isn't going to be up for 3 hours, so I might as well talk to you guys. Oh, and it seems that 5calls is now a mobile site, so if you are in the US and you want to make noise and be a pain in the ass for guys in DC, I encourage you to go check out 5calls. I know that 5calls is bent left, but it doesn't mean you can't call for conservative things, especially if you like things like the outdoors not being sold off to the lowest fucking bidder. So it's I encourage all of our U.S. friends to take an active role, own their politics. Don't just laugh at the Cheeto monster. Do something about it. I'm making my 5calls. Not every day. I've been doing a lot more state stuff. But that's because I'm in liberal hippie land. The world of granola and hemp milk. That button. That button. That button. That button. And so guys in YouTube might have missed this, but Dirk and I were talking, so if you missed the pre-show, topic du jour is that CSM has asked to have the resolution reduced on the monthly economic report. And Dirk, being the counterpoint foil that we love so much, was pointing out, has tried to point out, be the devil's advocate that he does a good job doing, and I can't do the whole thing all over again. We'll cover most of the points again. And I was mentioning that he's an instigator, which is I mean that in the most loving way possible. That both sides have don't have a compelling argument, and in the case of a tie goes to the status quo. And I personally, so this is my bend, is that I always want data, right? Mr. Strats. And so I mean, my whole deal is data science, right? Like, this show lives and dies on what APIs I actually have available to me, right? But I'm also a reasonable fella. I realize that we can't go put every single data stream out onto API, or else it just becomes bots online. And though there's some interesting things you could do with that, I don't think that makes a compelling game. And personally, I do like working with less than perfect data, because I think that challenge leads to better results, right? And so I think, so if you're just being a partisan about it, okay, actually, before I get to that partisan thing, so I want data. I always want data. This is both IRL and here. I want access to it. And I don't mind paying for it. I don't mind waiting for it. But I do want the data. And to have it locked down and taken away is not acceptable in my book. It damages this show, which I produce for you guys, and who I am responsible to both the audience and the patrons to give you guys the best data and the best analysis I possibly can. And I can't do that if my data gets nerfed. And this is a nerf. This is a proposed nerf. So there's that half. And then the other half is that I really don't like just giving free rides to the people who are already rich. That's another personal political bend, is that, like, you want me to get on an IRL rant, we can start talking about how we have a welfare for billionaires state out here, here in the States. We may get salty about welfare queens, but there are so many freaking billionaires just getting free fucking lunch, or getting cheapo whatever, because, well, they're rich and they obviously need the cut. They can't possibly pay full price. So again, another personal political bend, that I don't think they need the boost. I don't think that it's a compelling reason to nerf the public data for the general common dude, in the interest of making it easier and safer to produce capitals, to produce supers, and to be flying around Rorquals. Because that's what reducing that data resolution does, is it makes it safer for block nullsec to make the money they're making. So these are two compelling no's on my block, are no free rides for rich people, and keep your fucking hands off my fucking data. So I want the data. It was already out there. We've had it for a year, and I don't think it's a compelling reason to take it away. We had, like, if we were arguing for more data, and it was an argument over, please don't give them more data, like, don't release the economic report on a weekly basis, like, then I'd entertain some OPSEC, game security, game quality arguments, because that's an increase in resolution. That is adding functionality, and adding that functionality comes with a cost, and it isn't free, and it can be dangerous. But On the contrary, you know, we're in the other case that they want to make a case that this data should not be used anymore, that this data is too dangerous or too useful or too valuable. To which I say, no, absolutely not. It's not even the most valuable piece of the economic report, right? It is useful. It's at least personable, but it is not the most dangerous piece of the economic report. I would posit that the most powerful pieces of data in the economic report are the ISK charts, are the sinks and faucets, the money supply, and ISK velocity are your most powerful things. And frankly, I am surprised that CCP publishes this data, because I could make a pretty decent, I can make a really decent case that I can make quite a Plex bot just off of those numbers to tell you where Plex is going. And I think, and that breaks into more player security and more, that is much more powerful data in the report. So if you wanted to put tiers on everything, top tier is the ISK report. Next tier is the production data, because we can't know the production data, right? There is no second source for production data. There are a few places where you can sort of get some ideas, like you can make a heat map out of the industrial index data, but you can't, for instance, there's no way to work back the actual number of hours worked, production hours actually worked. So you end up with this really weird resolution where, yeah, I can tell you what the top 10 productive systems are, but I can't really tell you more than, like, I have a really hard time being able to tell you, well, is that twice as productive, 4 times, half? Like, I can't tell you how productive it actually is. And when it comes to mining, I absolutely can't tell you anything about where the minerals are coming from. And there is no data whatsoever. Like that material can completely skip all market counting and end up in a super without ever touching a place where I could even see it. And if us players don't get a chance to see that data, to see where the most productive places are, it makes it really hard for us to know the value of space, of specific space. It makes it really hard to figure out where material is coming from. Like, if I didn't have the material report, I would have a very hard time telling you guys why. I'd have a really hard time tempering my my material projections into the future, right? I need that data specifically to tell you just how much of that is going to come to JITA, and to also be able to tell you, like, where the how the markets are going. Because, to be honest, like, this is the sort of the piece that has gone unreported, is that for all of the Lenny Kravitz bullshit about killing JITA, the last 9 months have seen us go to a far more decentralized Eve than we've really ever seen. And the fact that Delve and Cobalt Edge and Quirius and, sorry, not Quirius, and why do I keep spacing the name of that stupid Providence are as productive as they are is a story. And it's important, I think, for us as a global economic show, if I may wank that hard, is to be able to have that resolution, to be able to tell you where the things are going on and how they're going on. And so the proposal I've heard, at least from Steve, is that they want to go down to quadrants so that you have like north, south, east, and west, and the buckets are lower resolution than before. And I think that's horseshit, because it's why? What am I giving up that resolution for? Like, how does this make the game better by losing that resolution? Like, what is the compelling argument to change what we already have, what we've been getting for a year, when, like, what good does that do? And what it does is it makes it safer for super producers and Rorqual miners to continue making money, is what it does. That's what that nerf does. And I'm not convinced. So I have been ignoring the chats. The person, given it also tracks how much you import. So I don't think you get to be secret like that. Like, I disagree. You can really say the number of supers being produced. It's probably possible, but I never go that deep into the data. I want the big picture. And I'm an economics show, and I am going to swing my weight around if you're going to mess with my data. So this is me acting in self-interest, absolutely. And like, yeah. And so, okay, so the last piece of this picture, so Dirk reminded me of a topic we brought up on Twitter of the how do I broach this subject? So last month I talked about how the Delve numbers were extremely interesting because it looked like Imperium was trying to set up a fiat economy. And so Dirk had mentioned that, this is like China doesn't report all of their stuff, but that's not the right comparison, I think. I think that early 20th century indentured labor is a much closer approximation of where Imperium is trying to go. So like way back, the idea was that you lived in this factory town and you bought from the factory store and you were paid in factory money, and your credit was in the factory bank. And so your life was very much owned and controlled by the factory, right? Like your entire livelihood, your family's livelihood lived around this. This was very, coal mines would do this. It was very prevalent in agricultural Mexico, if my history memory is correct. And that the deal isn't strictly bad, but it gives a lot of control to the factory owners, because they control your currency and they get to run their own little microcosm economy, and they get to set the prices. Such that, like, for instance, if you went to a full fiat currency and you said, okay, well, you mine for me and you do all of this mining in exactly the levels I want you to do them, I will pay you in credits as if you were mining ABC ore, the very best ore. But I won't pay you in ISK. I'm going to go pay you in forum credit or whatever. And then you just put in orders and we'll make sure that the ships you need and everything you need is just delivered to you. So this is not a bad deal, right? Like, you're doing the work you want to do, you're getting paid, you're not getting real ISKs so that you can go buy Plex, but if you're an alpha, who gives a shit? And, well, I mean, if you go ratting, if you're only mining like 20% of the time and you're ratting the other 50 of your ISK making time, like, then what do you care? Like, no skin off your nose. You're already making your Plex. You're fine. And this is fine, but then you end up in the case where because you are working internally on a different currency, that gives you the economic power to leverage the economic output more directly of your plebes, of your grunt members. And we could get into a case where we see Casino War 2, and the powers that be now use the economic surplus that they've been generating for 6 months, a year, brought to full bear on the rest of the unwitting economy. And I don't know. I think I might be giving Imperium too much credit, because that sounds like a fuckload of work. But, like, this is the sort of thing I worry about. And by masking the data, it makes it easier to pull off that sort of thing. Because it takes away daylight, and I don't like, how are us, come on, don't be that way, Dirk. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that, again, the proposal is that we need to take away data, right? Is that somehow the data we have is too dangerous, and we need to take it away. But in that case, I still don't see a compelling reason why we need less data. Is that they can go ahead and do that. Like, there's nothing stopping them mechanically from doing that. Okay, so Dirk's yelling at me for not reading his comment. So because the Dirk is saying that because they made a self-sustaining economy, that means the regional information should be made public, just to keep an eye on them. And yes, to be honest, yes, daylight is the best. And if you want to, but the fact of daylight doesn't mean they can't do it. Like, they're not stopped mechanically from doing this, right? There's nothing getting in their way of executing this plan, other than me saying that they're doing it. And even if they do, like, it's preposterous. So, like, I can be dismissed easily. The proposal is that we need to limit the amount of data coming out, and that the data we have is too much. And I disagree. I disagree entirely, because without that data, I can't tell the economic story, because I don't have the picture, and I can't get the picture without becoming subservient to all of the major powerhouses. And this is an independent show. Like, this show is completely independent. I don't have Goon backing. I don't have PL backing. I don't have any, like, the only backing I have is from my patrons. And even if you guys told me to stop saying mean things about Goons, I'd tell you to keep your money. So, I want all the data, right? Like, I want it all, and I want it now. I understand why we can't have it all, and I'm fine with that. I disagree on the kill mails thing. I think every PvP kill should be public. But and the only ones you get to hide are the NPC ones. But that's me. And And I'm fine with like time delays. Like we're already in a point where the monthly economic data is really a pain in the ass to work with anyway, right? Like it's not in the API. It's not going to be easy to go fetch. You got to go do a bunch of manual bullshit like it's a real economic report from the government. Like I fucking love that actually. Um, you have to go crunch it down. Uh, and and I don't think that it adds value to take away the data. Like I don't see a compelling reason for the proposal to pass. Like that's the proposal. We want to give you less data. We think you don't need that data, even though we've had it for a year. Um, oh no, don't kill destroyed modules. Like I still want to know the data of what gets destroyed. Actually, if I had my way, we'd have you'd be able to you'd be able to put a module down in a fight that lets you record alliance tournament style data, so you could replay the fight in 3D 1 second ticks. That I would fucking love. And I like that metagame. Like I can't be asked to do the I like the Z killboard data because I cannot be asked to do the Eve fitting work. Like that's the worst part about coming back from a hiatus personally is like I have no fucking idea what to fit on a ship. I just want to go fly with you guys. What the hell do I even fly? Like I will pay you extra money. Just give me one of yours. I don't know. I can't be bothered at all to do the to do the PvP meta fitting game. No, I think every PvP loss should be publicly available. Make the API put it out there 24 hours faster. That's my stance on it. Because it's PvP. You lost it to another player. GG. There it is. You can go ahead and hide your NPC losses. That's fine. I'm fine with that not being public, but your PvP losses, it's a matter of public record in my opinion. And anyway, I love the idea of being able to kill the kill mail whores, because I think the amount of the amount of stress we put on kill killboard efficiency I think is retarded. I fucking hate it. It's awful. So many people don't PvP because my efficiency. Who gives a shit? You go out, you go kill some people, you lose some. Like, don't take it so fucking seriously. It's just a frigate for fuck's sake. And and Dirk, I'm not as tied into to the other CSM people as some of the others have. So I haven't actually heard the pro the pro thing, the pro argument. Um, but don't take my data. Don't take my data. Um, and market efficiency, like you can still. So the one piece of data I would love to have, like something that should happen and never will, is to add the resolution onto the order book so you can actually track cancellations. Like that is a piece of extra data that I think would be... Okay, I don't think it's useful. Personally, I don't like it. I think it's a boondoggle. So many people go running after it. They'll never... whatever. But to be able to track cancellations, I think would be a useful, interesting piece of market PvP to do some interesting data. And, like, we already have to wait 30 days for the thing, and it doesn't come out the same fucking day as it should. Like, it can be delayed up to 2 weeks. It's up to whenever CCP Quant presses the fucking button. Like, it's like a real government report, guys. Like, it's hard to parse. It's unreliably released. The data is at least good, but you never know when you're going to get it. And I don't think the data should go away. Like, I say what you want about actual action. Like, I want the data. I think the data is useful, and it's not just useful to me. It's a useful. It's a public service, and it's not taking a bunch of CCP resources to generate, and it's quality, useful data for not just me, but the metagame in general as a way to do deeper economic reporting. Like, otherwise you take it away and we get less good economic reporting. And, like, if that's what you really fucking want. I mean, go ahead. I would love to hear the pro argument. I would really love to hear why this data is so fucking dangerous that we need to be protected from it. I think it's horseshit. And I'm going to call it out as horseshit. And if political activism weren't so in vogue at the moment, I might just let it go. But and I have a platform, and I'm going to use my platform. So yeah, it's self-serving, but that's I am a slave to the show. Hold on.
My internet.
Oh god. Hi guys. I'll be done in like 10 minutes. It seems my guests have arrived, so we're gonna have to end the show here. I want to thank everybody who came in. I want to thank Dirk for being my devil's advocate. I'm sure that he will take his points on open comms, and then we'll see if Talking in Stations picks it up. I won't be able to make either of those, unfortunately. I would love to. I'll probably have to go check out the podcast. So, but in the meantime, thank you everybody who tuned in live. Thank you everyone for enjoying the live show here, for letting me rant and rave. We should be back next week, same time, same channel. Be sure to get subscribed. Be sure to join our Discord, which links should be down in the information below. And we'll have an edited show up tomorrow morning, thanks to Christopher. I got to get him his stuff so that we can get that out there. And thank you, everyone. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on the things. I'll be back next week. Fly safe. Make money. Tell the CSM to get their heads out of their asses.